This week on Reliving the Extreme, we are discussing the episode of ECW from December the 6th, 1994. Nate Maxton, your host here, along with my brother Aaron.
Hello, everybody.
And Mr. Chad Austin.
Hey, tally ho.
And this week, they have that old expression in wrestling when you go to a show and the undercard, the mid-card, they're kind of just there. You're there to see one match. They call it a one-match show. This week's episode of ECW is literally a one-match show. Because
and it's a one match that I don't even think that everybody even wanted to see.
There is only one match featured. We will get into that. However, before we do that, let's play some Chad Austin Wikipedia. Let's continue with another paragraph of Chad's Wikipedia. You haven't really disputed many facts in this as we've gone through it so far, Chad.
Except for the birthplace, right?
Yes. On January 28th, 2001, Chad lost to Julio De Niro in Bel Air, Maryland. Remember working with Julio De Niro?
Yeah, you guys know who he is. He was at one point.
Wasn't he? He wasn't UBass, was he?
No,
that was
what? Why are you going to insult him? What'd you call him?
Who? It was a different guy. There was the guy that was like the fake Sabu, and they called him UBass.
Oh, okay, all right. No, it slipped over my head. Now I know who you're talking about. That's Pablo Marquez, right?
Yeah.
All right, yeah, but the way you said it sounded like you were insulting him.
No.
Like you called him a UBass. I was like, I don't even know what that is. It doesn't sound very flattering.
Kick his ass, UBass.
Yeah.
I got my Puerto Ricans or whatever confused. Sorry.
But Julio De Niro was he's not even Spanish.
Is he the guy that teamed with Chris Hamrick at one point?
Dude, he did everything. He worked for everybody. He worked everywhere. He was even on that stupid, what was that, Heroes of Wrestling?
Oh, yeah, he wrestled Too Cold on that. I forgot about that.
Dude,
I mean, I blocked it out of my memory.
He was like one of the guys that I trained. He came out of our system, like 100% came out of Maryland. And I didn't train him to where, like he got, because me and him, every time we wrestled multiple times. And every time we wrestled, it was a chore because his big break came when he was young and he went to WCW. It's okay, Jess. He went to WCW and did jobs.
Mm-hmm.
And then he started getting kind of like not pushed, but like not, he was a job guy that was getting spots in.
Right. Yeah.
And it went to his head, and come to figure, at the end of the day, he wasn't even a wrestling fan. He was only doing it for the money. And I used to have these matches with him, and it was like pulling teeth because he wanted you to remember every single thing you were doing. Every single spot was going over the spot. It was like 10 times before the match even started that you sat out in the hallway with him. You're like, all right, duck under, grab the arm. I don't even know what that means. You know what I mean? When he's like trail arm. What the fuck's the trail arm?
Trail arm.
And it's the arm that's standing there. I'm gonna duck under your elbow and grab the other arm. Why are you? Okay, I don't know. If that's what you're gonna do, then you can just go ahead and do it, and then and then I'll just automatically to go with you, whatever. But I don't know what you're talking about. But yeah, Julio was something else, man. And I love the guy. I never had a problem with the guy personally. I still never had a problem with the guy personally, but working with him, good Lord.
At the end of the year, Chad and Dino Devine lost to Van Hammer and the Cowboy, a local WZBH disc jockey in Laurel, on December 16th, 2001. I didn't know that you ever worked Van Hammer, Chad. I'm sorry.
Dude, I worked Van Hammer. This is the beginning of this might not even be the beginning of it. We did a whole entire almost year with me and Dino against Van Hammer and Cowboy. Van Hammer, dude, say what you want about him. Sure, he stinks. Awful. I mean, you can smell him coming. It's terrible. But he ran like he had some gimmick with a radio station or something.
Mm-hmm.
And they put money behind what happened to fucking Aaron.
I don't know where Aaron went.
They put some money.
He was bored with your Van Hammer story, and he's like fucking him out.
Yeah. He's too busy Googling Bruno Mastino, and he can't put up a little Van Hammer. Oh, dude, but Van Hammer actually really was the best, and as much as he doesn't know about the business,
mm-hmm.
he's a lot smarter than you think he is. Not that he's like an intelligent worker per se, you know what I mean?
Right.
He's smart to the business. Like, he knows that you're not going to fuck him on money.
Mm-hmm.
And he makes sure he gets his money, and he does his homework too, like for the money. He just don't just assume that you're going to pay him $300 whatever the hell dollars is. Well, he makes sure that you have what, Aaron's back?
Yes.
He makes sure that you have like 1,000 people in the building before you start shaking you down for your money for his money.
Well, he did work in the land of sharks in WCW for most of his career. So I'm sure he picked up. Yeah, I'm sure he picked up some pointers from people along the way about making sure you get fucking paid.
Yeah, I mean, teaming with the DJ, that was probably the only time the DJ was a better worker of the team.
He was the best worker of the match, and it was me and Dino against him and Van Hammer. Dude, I'll tell you what. If you want to know, I think I might have it on tape. I think I do have it on tape. But here was the deal. Like, after we had like the blow off match, and the blow off match was like a bunkhouse match. Anywhere's all that nonsense. Whatever. And all I remember was Van Hammer said, "Chad, you come with me. Cowboy, you go with Dino." And I remember at one point when me and Van Hammer were working, we were just walking around, doing the ECW arena shit.
Mm-hmm.
You're smashing your head in the garbage. You know what I mean?
The walk and brawl. Yeah.
Walk and brawl.
Yeah, you're not doing anything. And I remember at one point I looked over and I saw Dino beating the shit out of Cowboy. And I told Hammer, I was like, dude, go check on them. Like, he's like stopping me in the corner. And I'm like, dude, go check on him. Because Dino was beating this guy's ass. And
the Cowboy pissed him off. You might want to go take a look at that.
And it's hilarious because Cowboy doesn't know what he's doing. He doesn't know how to sell, so he's in the fetal position. Dino's beating the shit out of him, like just stomping on him and stuff. I'm just like, just go over there and see what's going on, please.
On January 30th, 2002, Chad appeared with Total Quality Management in their final match together in front of an estimated 1,200 fans at the MCW Rage TV taping in Glen Burnie. He had been scheduled to take part in a 6-man tag team match with Dino Devine and Kelly Bell against Jimmy Cicero and the Bad Street Boys, but was replaced by ex-member Q-Ball Carmichael.
I guess so. I mean, you said that was the final match of TQM?
Yeah. Yeah, it's January 30th, 2002.
All I can say is TQM, I think at some point it not only carried MCW, but I think it put MCW on a whole entire different, like, independent plane. And it's not because I was in it, but clearly it was. I'm not going to take credit for it. I mean, there's a couple other supporting players. Jimmy Cicero. What has he ever done? And then we had Dino, and yeah, we had a great idea, man. Total Quality Management was Cicero's idea of taking. He was kind of like one of them infomercial dudes where he would kind of brainwash you. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And he would give you like his system. This is like, and then you listen to him, and then we started dressing the same, and then we all started looking the same because eventually we brought in Chip, who was, I don't even know this guy. Like, I don't know him personally still to this day. and he was my tag team partner because he looked like me. And then we just dressed alike. And then we brought in Dino and brought in Cue Ball. And yeah, it was at the time in Maryland, it was the hottest. It was over, put it that way. It was the only job, it was the only gimmick that I've ever done that I've gotten a royalty check from. An actual check in the mail because I sold so many goddamn t-shirts.
Kelly Bell. That name rings a bell, no pun intended, but I don't know who that is. I don't know.
He's a local musician.
Oh, okay.
I mean, he has a couple of national records. I don't know how big he is. I have no idea how big he is outside of Maryland. But in Maryland, he's kind of a big deal. I mean, if you're gonna open up a new abortion clinic, you have Kelly Bell play in the parking lot. I don't know if you're gonna, car wash.
An abortion clinic. Anyway, here's Wonderwall.
I mean, if you're gonna do any of that nonsense, a check cashing place, a liquor store, you have Kelly Bell to play in the parking lot, and everybody will come out to it. And he was a big dude. He was like 360 pounds plus, whatever, and they didn't know what to do with him, and they were like, well, can we put him with TQM? And we're like, yeah. Wait a minute, what's that? put him with who? And we did, and that's when it's right around when I started taking over the book for TQM, because Cicero, he became less and less, he wasn't showing up all the time because he came all the way from North Carolina, and we were running shows almost weekly.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just too much for him. And it was like, all right, well, we could book this over the phone, right? I love you.
Right. Yeah.
Like, you don't have to be here. You don't have to be here to be here. And we can still put you over when we do our promos and all that stuff. You know what I mean? We still have a leader. And then eventually it just became that me and Dino just said, fuck it. Just do our own thing.
Well, I guess we'll do this too, because like I said, this ECW show isn't going to take very long. So I'll pull from my questions that I've gotten from one of our listeners, and you can email me anytime, relivingtheextreme@gmail.com, to get a question in for Chad, Aaron, myself, what have you.
We just got one ham bone just sending us questions. Just one guy.
No, I'm going to pull one question of the questions that I have. I like to keep them in just in case we have a show like this that's going to take, I know, like 20 minutes to talk about.
Well, I know Charlie from Starkville, Mississippi.
It was just the way you said it. Was like, we got this question from this one guy that's sending us questions.
Oh, no, not this one guy over and over again.
His name is Bubbles.
Bubbles from Yorkville. This is from a gentleman named Brad. Does not put where he is from here, but he says, hi guys, this question isn't necessarily ECW related, but I notice you don't always stay on just ECW. He's on to us. Who are your 5 favorite heels of all time? Chad, on the spot.
All right, I can give you 3. The Sheik, Bobby Heenan. And let me see. I got one. Well, hey, Abdul the Butcher.
I figured you would say Eddie Gilbert too.
Well, it's Eddie, because Eddie's he's too transparent. If you understand what I mean.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah,
because he can come in and he can pretend like he's the good guy all day long, and everybody, even his parents, know. Like, even Tommy Gilbert's done it. Remember, he didn't even want to referee his matches anymore in UWF because he never knew what his son was going to do.
And the Sheik is a class unto himself, by far.
Yeah, see, that's almost like a generic answer. Yeah, I feel bad about even saying that, because in my opinion, the Sheik's the biggest babyface. He made me fucking want to watch that shit.
Right.
Like, I didn't give a shit what he was doing. He could be killing like all them. I can't believe there's so many Hispanic people that are in Detroit that just love getting mauled. Like, if you watch it, any of the TV and stuff, like it's all a whole bunch of Eduardos, and guys like that are just getting mauled by the sheep.
Yeah.
Like what is it like? Is his yard too big? And there's a discrepancy over the mowing. I don't quite get it.
And you mentioned Abdullah. A lot of people liked. I don't know why, but a lot of people like to dog on Abdullah. And from a personal standpoint, I don't know him as a person. I've heard he could be kind of a piece of shit. But as far as the wrestling heel goes and what a heel's supposed to be, he didn't need to be. I mean, wrestling 5-star classics or anything like that. That wasn't the intent of his character. And he personified his gimmick in. You can arguably say that he and Carlos Colon supported a wrestling industry in an entire country.
Oh, clearly. I mean, for I don't know what the better part of almost 20 years, at least 15, right?
And I remember as a kid him being the first wrestler when I was a kid that I watched. I was fascinated by him. Like I didn't know why I was fascinated by him, but I was fascinated by him when he was on TV.
You had to be. You had to have been.
And he made it a career and never said a fucking word. Like, how many people can say they did that? You know what I mean?
Have you ever seen the tape, his Puerto Rican tape?
Yes, I actually have it. I have it.
Yeah,
I don't have. I don't
have the original.
No. I don't have. I'm sorry. I don't have the tape. I have it digitally. So I have seen it, but I don't have the physical tape. No.
Oh no, I have it. I have it on digital. I have it on DVD, and I have the actual VHS with the clamshell.
Mm-hmm.
But it's the spot where he catches the fly.
Yes.
That's the fucking that's the dollar store fly. It's a Halloween like decoration fly.
Yes, for those of you that haven't seen it, like Chad said, it's obviously a plastic fly. Like
like he catches it and it's still intact. Oh,
and then the look on his face when he puts it in his mouth.
A plastic fly. Oh. I mean, from the looks of thing, he didn't really give a shit what else he put in his mouth.
Yeah, I was to say, Abby wasn't really discriminate on what he ate.
And have you guys? Do you guys know, or have any of you guys ever been to his House of Ribs?
No.
Do you know anybody that's ever been there?
I don't.
Not
it's
personally.
Closed now, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is. I know. I heard the stories about how people wrestlers would get pissed off because he wouldn't comp their meal.
Look, he's not Jimmy Seafood. He's Abdullah.
He's a businessman. Damn it,
dude. Nate, you ain't fucking kidding. He doesn't give a fuck if you have trunks and boots. He's like, dude, I'm running a business here. You know, if you want free food, you go to Jimmy's.
Go to the Mission if you want free food. You're gonna pay here. And you also mentioned Bobby Heenan. Obviously, that hands down is
he's on my list.
I mean, Bobby Heenan's my favorite. He's my favorite wrestling personality of all time. Bobby Heenan is one of the guys that had it all of it, every bit of it. There was not a hole in his game, no matter what he was doing.
He could bump. He could talk. He could set up. That's a whole other entire thing right there. He could be a middleman. He's a great middleman. If you want to get an angle over and you want to start it somewhere, give it to Bobby Heenan.
Yes, and I'll put his wit up against any professional comedian on the planet, any comedic actor on the planet.
That I understand what you're saying, and I give him full entire credit for that and all, but I don't put him in that high of an esteem.
Mm-hmm.
But I think for his profession, for what he's done for his profession, his wit is outstanding and goes without question. But yeah, I mean, we're talking about like
he said I'm getting so much fan mail. My mailman in Beverly Hills is hunchbacked.
Dude, but I think that's like not even like his own jokes. Like a lot of his stuff isn't even his own jokes, and that's not a bad thing because you can always take somebody's other stuff and retool it and make it your own.
Right.
You know,
and he could take a non-funny joke and just the way he delivered it make it funny.
Just the fact that who are the sisters that he always
the Rosati sisters.
The Rosati sisters.
He goes, the Bobby Heenan, the first Bobby Heenan show, they come out and he goes, they're under the hot lights. They smell like bacon. Or it smells like bacon.
That's not what he says. That's not what
I thought he said that. It smells like bacon cooking.
How he says it is, you guys might think you smell bacon cooking, but it's just the lights.
Yeah, that's it. Yes. The lights are hot.
Dude, Bobby Heenan.
Sunny Beach is going to wrestle on primetime, and Gorilla Monsoon goes, we're going to have the debut of Sunny Beach. And Bobby's like, you ever seen his sister? And he's like, no. Like, her name's Kitty Litter. Like, if I would say that, it's not funny, but the way he delivers it, it fucking pops me every fucking time. There's another part of primetime where there's a little, and he just got away with so much shit. There's like a little gorilla, like stuffed animal, wearing like a WWF like cut off shirt, and it's sitting over by Gorilla Monsoon. And Bobby's like, "What you got over there? A Coco Beware action figure?" Like, Jesus Christ!
What?
There's a stuffed gorilla.
I know. I heard you. I'm just saying. What?
Yeah, don't have to repeat it.
There's a stuffed gorilla. And then all of a sudden you said something about Sapphire?
No.
What is it? What was the punchline then?
He asked him if it was a Coco Beware action figure.
Well, same thing.
Aaron, what do you got? Your favorite heels of all time?
Like I said, Bobby's on my list. And this isn't in any order. But I'd say Bobby, Flair, Rude,
Rick Rude.
Yeah, Rick Rude and WCW is a heel. Jesus Christ.
I'm sorry, I forgot your age. Never mind.
Terry Funk, and you guys are gonna blast me for this, or maybe not. I don't know. But DiBiase is $1 Million Man.
Oh, well, I'm blasting you for being the $1 Million Man. If it was DiBiase Mid-South,
that too. Yeah.
Yeah, but that was the devious DiBiase.
Yeah.
You know, like, dude, he turned on like Dr. Death, and oh my God, and yeah, that was. I mean,
and I know about all that stuff because I've watched it as I've gotten older. But I'm just thinking, as me as a kid, those were the guys that were like the heels that were like too cool for school. You know what I mean? To me, that's what the heel is.
Dude, it broke my heart. I was on I went on like a vacation down to the beach with a friend of mine's family, like in the summer of whatever 86 or whatever, and we were in the hotel room where we were staying, and we were scanning into the TV, and we found like the wrestling channel, whatever wrestling was on, and it was like the first $1 Million Man coming to the WWE thing, and
the vignettes.
And I think I dropped like a vase, and I have no idea why I was even holding a vase. Like, you know what I mean? It was like one of the things where it's so like heart shattering that you had to just drop something made of glass. So I just grabbed a vase, dropped it. Oh my God, Ted DiBiase! I just watched him last week wrestle One Man Gang, like. And like literally, it was last week. As a matter of fact, it wasn't even last week. It was like 3 days ago. You were wrestling the One Man Gang in Tulsa, and it was breaking down.
I wonder sometimes if he took the deal because he saw the writing on the wall for Mid-South or the UWF, and kind of got an offer he couldn't refuse from Vince. And at that point in your career, you're thinking, man. Yeah. I can make a lot of fucking money working for Vince McMahon.
He took the job. I've seen interviews with him. He took the job because Terry Funk told him to.
And Jim Barnett.
Because he said Vince flew him down, wouldn't tell him exactly what the gimmick was because he didn't want anybody to be able to steal it. And then basically got like a broad outline of what they were planning on doing. And he called Terry Funk, and Terry Funk said Vince McMahon has a heel gimmick that is so good in his opinion that he's not even willing to tell you what it is. You should probably take it.
And for a worker, it's the greatest gimmick of all time because what worker has ever had the least amount of road expense?
It wasn't even road expense. It was just everything.
Coming out of their own pocket or not coming out of their own pocket. Vince gave him money every day to go out and spend it because he wanted people to think it was real, you know.
Do you know that for being a shoot?
Well, I know that's what DiBiase has said. I don't know if anybody's corroborated it, but that's what DiBiase says, that he was.
No. I was going to say, yeah, you're right. I mean, it's true. Okay. I just didn't know, like, if you just assumed that or something.
No. I remember DiBiase telling either on one of the DVDs or I actually have that DVD where the one where he talks at the end of it gets into his religious thing, and I never watched the end of it.
Oh, dude, that must be the one that I have too. It's like 4 hours, and you get like an hour and 40 minutes in, and then all of a sudden you go.
Yeah, it turns into a Jesus commercial.
He's talking about this process or project or something. It's almost like what is the one with that Bill Watts did too?
I've never seen that one,
dude. It's like 8 hours long.
6 of it's about church.
Turns out, listen, man, I'm serious. This is a shoot.
Is it when Bill Watts was trying to sell Amway or whatever?
Yeah, but he never says what it is. He calls it. He just calls it the product. It's the product. You sign up and you get the product, and then well, that's what he was trying to push. And I'm like, you're Bill Watts. I mean, seriously, Junkyard Dog, Michael Hayes. I don't know what the hell you could do. What are you doing now? You're trying to sell me knockoff High C? I mean, you're trying to sell me fake milk?
I'd buy Bill Watts Kool-Aid before I'd buy anybody trying to sell me something about church. But that's just me.
Bill Watts like, try my tremendous product, Low D. It's delicious.
Low D batteries?
Low D juice. It's knockoff High C. It's Low D.
Like, just imagine if he sold batteries that were used. he sell used batteries. There's no guarantee on how long they're going to work.
If you think they're dying, just take them out and flip them. And put them back in.
Yeah. Put your tongue on it. Rub your butt on it.
All right. Let's dig into this
show to review here.
No, Nate, you didn't give us yours.
What?
You didn't give us your 5.
Oh, well, I was kind of asking you guys, but
okay.
And what was the 5? What?
5 best heels.
I mean, I'm sure they are going to be pretty much the same.
Yeah, I mean, I am also, like Aaron, a fan of DiBiase and both Mid-South and the WWF. I am a fan of the $1 Million Man character and gimmick, and I thought there wouldn't have been anybody that could do it better. I am also a big fan of Kurt Hennig.
Oof. No, not me.
No, yeah, I like Kurt Hennig. I don't know. I agree with Chad on the Sheik and Abby. They're fantastic.
Yeah, but that's too generic, right?
I don't think so, because wrestling's like music and like any other art form. It's all subjective. Somebody else could probably come on here that's only 26 years old and tell us their favorite heel of all time is Randy Orton.
I know, but it's also like saying, in my opinion, or maybe in your opinion, that I think that like the Sheik is like Iggy and the Stooges, like, you know, one of my favorite bands.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, dude, you don't understand, you know. Just, you know, you ask like 5 people walking down the street, you ever heard of the Sheik? You ever heard of Iggy or the Stooges? You know, and they're like, right. No. And it's like, oh my god, it's like one of them things. Like, if you kind of know, you kind of know. And they're my favorite guys, man. They're all my favorite guys, even down to the Ivan Koloffs.
Mm-hmm. I'm also a huge fan of Jake Roberts as a heel. So I'd put him up there too. It's just his promos and his psychology and everything. He was a fantastic fucking heel too.
Yeah, he definitely was. It wasn't until what was that late 81, 82 when he turned on what? Who was it? Like, was it Mike Graham or Mike Davis?
Mike Davis, yes, Mike Davis.
Yeah, and like ask Archie Mitchell to remember that. Fucking loser.
And then also, and I know a lot of people again, I know the WWF was cartoony and stuff, but in 91, his heel run with Savage was some of the most compelling television that company ever did. When he was the heel and Savage was the babyface with Jake Roberts. So, yeah, I would put him up there too.
Well, if Jake is a heel, you don't even have to go. It don't even have to be that psychological. It doesn't even have to be that much. Like as you're saying that it was in the WWE. Mm-hmm. Look at how he was in Georgia.
Yeah.
He basically, what he would do is, all right, this is what he would do, Nate. He would take the national TV title and he would just set it right on the podium, right in front of him while he leaned over it. Like, doesn't that breed some sort of like comfortability where he feels like, I'm not worried about Ronnie Garvin.
Right. That's what I was going to say. An arrogance, a cocksure arrogance. Like
you're telling me Ronnie Garvin is going to take this from me.
That's why I've always said I think it's the biggest shame, I guess I would say, of Jake's demons, other than obviously the personal suffering and everything, and then his family and stuff like that. But for the business, I think the most sad thing about the fact that he was so wrapped up in his demons for so long is that he didn't get to take enough people under his wing, and teach. Because he would have been, to teach wrestling psychology, there's almost probably nobody better that's alive.
Well, I don't know, man. I'll give Aaron a chance to think on this or speak on this before I think about it, because I got mixed emotions about it. So I'd like to hear somebody else's opinion on it.
You talking like promos or like in the ring?
Yeah. No, for Jake, it would be if I had a wrestling school like the Performance Center or whatever, he would be the guy for promos and psychology. I don't care about in the ring as far as he goes. That's not what I'm looking to get out of him.
Because the guys that are still alive, I'd put like working wise, like Bob Orton in there.
You said Bob Roop?
Not Bob Poop.
Bob Roop. Buck Rock and Roll Zumhoff?
Oof. He got to get out of jail first.
Zumhoff. That ain't never going to happen.
What about Mr. Electricity Steve Regal? Mike George?
Mike George.
Mr. Personality.
George Wells? Who are we going with?
Rufus R. Jones.
Well, the episode of ECW from December the 6th, 1994.
We still haven't even done it.
We still haven't even touched it yet, but we're about to, and it's not going to take very long at all. And I'm not saying, folks, I'm not saying that the match that was featured was bad. I'm just saying it's the only match that was featured.
I didn't even know there was a match.
We opened the show with Shane Douglas and Sherry, Sensational Sherry, coming out to the ring. Shane Douglas begins to cut a promo as we go to Joey Styles, and he says that the advertised partner for Shane Douglas, Steve Austin, can't wrestle because of an injury, and that Sherry has found a replacement for Steve Austin, and it is revealed that replacement is Brian Pillman. So which Joey Styles says nobody's going to be asking for refunds now that they know it's Brian Pillman is the tag team partner for Shane Douglas.
Oof. Honestly, what do you think about that statement? I mean, was Brian Pillman the answer there?
I think so. And the reason I say that is, don't you think that this crowd is the crowd? What do I want to say? This is the type of crowd that got Pillman to where he was and what he became. Because wasn't he always? He didn't have the internet back then, but wasn't he a smart fan darling back then?
Yeah.
Yeah, but Steve was too. Like, Steve was a guy that smart marks or whatever were into. Like, it's later in my notes, but I'll just say it now. Like, I wish Pillman would have spent more time in ECW, honestly.
No. I mean, I think Paul wishes that.
Like, if there was ever a guy that didn't spend as much time as he should have there, that was just custom made for fucking ECW, it was Brian Pillman.
Yeah, but how great does that tell you how Paul is, where he could take a Brian Pillman, a Steve Austin, you name them, and they come in and they have an idea of a character.
Mm-hmm.
Like these guys that are just like, finally, I can do what the fuck I want to do.
Yeah.
And Paul goes, okay, well, what the fuck do you want to do? You know? And they get a chance to explain their shit and, you know, get their shit over. That's awesome.
And then before the match actually starts, it's Shane Douglas and Brian Pillman against Too Cold Scorpio and Ron Simmons. Before the match starts, we get a promo from Too Cold and Ron Simmons, a tale of two types of promos here, because we always say Scorpio, great wrestler, poor promo. This is a question I have for you guys because we put him over on the show all the time because I know we're all big fans.
Pablo Marquez?
And Chad, would you say, and you can tell me if I'm blaspheming, but at his best, is Ron Simmons at least almost as good a promo as Ernie Ladd?
Oh,
Nah.
No, let's I mean, seriously. I mean, what are you? I mean, is this some sort of a joke?
Maybe.
Because
now the only reason I even wrote that down, it is kind of a joke. But I guess my point is you can tell that he is an Ernie Ladd fan.
But hold on, but let me give you my answer.
Okay.
My answer is because, like you said, he might be an Ernie Ladd fan, but he also takes wrestling a whole lot more seriously than Ernie Ladd did.
True.
and he's talking about kicking your ass, and Ernie Ladd's making metaphors about about stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and he's doing all kinds of silly things and stuff like that because he's Ernie Ladd. So I mean, could you imagine Ron Simmons versus Ernie Ladd?
The two of them in their prime, that would have been fun to watch.
I mean, where would you couldn't even, if you had it in New Orleans, it'd be a riot. They'd burn the building down because half the people would be there for the big cat, and the other half would be there for Ron. Oh yeah, that would be a scene and a half. They would just unleash the fire hydrants to make it look like it was a flood. Just because the mass was so, it was so ridiculous. Like we can't have this on CNN. It's all because of Ernie Ladd.
Well, like I said, my note here is Simmons' promo is great. Too Cold is there, and again, once you get into the ring, once the bell rings, Too Cold's going to bring it. But on that mic, he's just let you down a little bit. Aaron, any notes on the promo before we move into the match?
No, you skipped over the 900 promo.
Oh yeah. Pillman and Douglas. Go ahead. You want to speak on that?
It's in my notes. That's what's. They did this promo. They played this promo that was exclusively from the 1-900 number. So you got to think, if you called the 1-900 number and spent fucking $3 a minute to listen to this fucking thing on your fucking phone, and then all of a sudden it's just on TV, you'd be like, what the fuck? But Brian,
what? You say what the fuck like 13 times, and you never describe whatever the fuck was.
Well, I'm saying they said that this people basically called they promoted the fact that you could call the 900 number and listen to this Shane Douglas Brian Pillman promo exclusively.
Oh, the hotline.
And then they just played it on TV. So you'd think if you just spent this money to listen to this promo, you'd be like, what the hell? I just paid money to listen to this, and they just put it on TV. But in the interview, there's one thing that's I don't know if it's fun. It made me laugh, but basically Brian Pillman says that Ron Simmons and Too Cold Scorpio's team name is the Boys from the Hood.
The Boys
from the Hood.
Oh, all right. Well, that's tremendous, dude. Them guys or what? Like they're not like what's the name? Q-Tip and the other guy from Menace to Society or whatever, Ashtray.
Yeah,
they're not like them boys from the hood. Imagine Ron Simmons walking around with a big dookie on, with his pants hanging down all to his knees, like with his hair all done up with blunts in them. like if he was in a Don't Be a Menace to South Central.
Damn.
Could you imagine if that was Ron Simmons?
That's funny.
I don't know who does the artwork for our page, but oh my goodness, there is a doozy.
Don't be a damn menace.
Yeah.
As this match goes, it's a good tag team match. Ron Simmons gives Brian Pillman a 6 spinebuster at one point in this match. But actually, something I wrote down in the middle of my match notes to ask if either one of you know, because I don't. I was just thinking, I was looking at the match and I was like, this match is like, it's like a WCW 1992 match and ECW in 94. But my question is, as far as Pillman or whoever from WCW, like Sherry, what was the deal with WCW and ECW at this point as far as like WCW letting contracted wrestlers go wrestle there? Chad, do you know?
Yeah, I do. I actually do know. It had a lot to do with Paul's contract. I mean, I'm not going to give you 100% of the facts of it, but but I can give you the gist of it was that after Paul sued the company, for breach of contract, all that stuff, and then and him and the company came to a understanding that they would give him X amount of pennies on the dollar. And then Paul just said, all I want is I want Bobby Eaton, Arn Anderson, and Sensational Sherry.
So for him, essentially, it was worth more money to have talent to draw to his promotion than to take their money, pretty much.
I guess, and it was probably to go ahead with the whole entire lawsuit or whatever,
Right. Yeah.
Fuck. Why? I mean, because I guess WCW at that point with that kind of money, they could just hold you up in court for forever, and then how much money are you going to have? It's us against you.
Right.
So it was better just to be like, all right, well, can you just give me these? You're not even using them anyway.
Yeah, I don't even want the guys you're using. I just want the guys you're not using.
I mean, that was the best part about it, because I think that came up later on a Meltzer show or Meltzer Observer or whatever, was that out of all the people that ECW was employing, like that Paul or WCW was employing, Paul wanted like guys they weren't using. Arn, Bobby, Sherry.
And that puts WCW in perspective, everybody. Look, the best people on their roster are the people they aren't using. Go figure.
Yeah. I mean, but we have what is that? With Chris Canyon and the other guy.
Oh, the Men at Work.
Men at Work. Yeah, there you go.
Mark Starr.
What is it?
I think it was Mark Starr, wasn't it?
Probably. Dude, that guy was just doomed. Like he was a jobber from day one. Like he walked on the stage as a jobber, and then he left the stage as a jobber, and he's dead now, right? As a jobber.
He jobbed out to the big man upstairs. Yeah.
Fuck yeah! Jesus gave him that last choke slam.
That guy got buried his entire life, and even at the end.
Yeah, I mean, what are you wasting your time here for? You haven't done anything. You couldn't even beat Brad Armstrong. Jeez.
Aaron, your notes on this match before we get to the finish?
Shane tries to get Ron Simmons into a gut wrench suplex, and it's fucking terrible. Then Sherry ends up hitting Douglas by mistake with a shoe, which is whatever. That's really all I got.
Well, it turns out it wasn't a mistake.
I know.
And this is one of those flaws we've been talking about with ECW bringing up WCW all the time instead of focusing on their own thing, because now the story is that Ric Flair sent Sherry to ECW to screw Shane Douglas.
Dude. Well, I mean, I don't know.
So Ric Flair cuckolded the ECW champion.
He what?
And that's their story. He cuckolded the ECW champion, and that's their story.
That's their story. I'd like to hear Rick's story.
If he won't tell you, I'm sure Tommy Dreamer will.
Oh, he was there. Fucking dumb Dreamer.
But yeah, that's the match, folks. Scorpio and Simmons win. And that is the only match on this episode of ECW. Like I said, I wasn't dissing it when I said earlier it was a one-match show. It was a good match. And it must have been much longer than we actually saw because it was clipped.
Oh, totally was.
The main part of the ECW storyline for it is that Ron Simmons pinned Shane in a tag team match. So they're able to advance Ron Simmons and Shane Douglas because now Simmons can say that he pinned the champ or whatever. That's the part of it that was good for their actual promotion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but isn't that how the angle works? That's how the angle's supposed to go.
Yeah, but like I said, like Nate was saying, they paid more attention to the fact that Ric Flair supposedly sent Sherry there than putting over the fact that Ron Simmons just pinned the champ.
Oh, yeah, it's great. And Ric Flair was never going to be there.
Yeah.
Never.
No, he was never going to be there. Yeah, Shane's going to bring him up. Yeah, and he's got as heavy as Ron Simmons. Probably at that point, arguably the baddest man in the business.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't know anybody that would test him. Imagine him at ECW with like
Public Enemy tried.
Oh, come on. That was piss poor, and that was a failed attempt. What did you do? You gave him a couple stiff forearms, and then he just said, "I don't think so."
Yeah, him and Bradshaw just beat the ever-loving fuck out of them on live television.
Yeah, I've never seen so many clotheslines. Like they just every time they would get up, just clothesline them again. Just clothesline them again. Don't put them back in the ring because if you keep them out on the floor, you can just keep clotheslining them as they get up.
Well, after the match,
Johnny, I think our goose is cooked.
That goose is overcooked. After the match, Shane Douglas gives Sherry a pile driver and then cuts a promo on Sherry and Ric Flair instead of his upcoming opponent, Ron Simmons. Again, I think it's just a miscalculation. Obviously, it doesn't hurt ECW. It's just in hindsight, 20-some years later, it seems silly to be so focused on somebody that, like Chad said, is never going to show up in that arena ever.
Yeah,
to this day, he's never been in that arena.
But is it still out of the realm of possibility that Paul thought that it was going to happen?
It's Paulie, so no, it's not out of the realm of possibility. He's always scheming. I can make this happen somehow.
Yeah, and imagine if you can get fucking Ric Flair. Like, where is this limo going to park in that parking lot? Seriously.
It also would have backfired on him. It would have backfired on them so bad. If Ric Flair would have showed up at the fucking ECW arena, that crowd that was like, Flair is dead. The minute Ric Flair showed up,
Flair is here.
And they would have fucking cheered their asses off if Ric Flair.
Dude, it backfired on everybody they brought in. Everybody they brought in, whether it's supposed to be a heel, babyface, indifferent, or whatever, as long as it was somebody the crowd knew, they were fucking over.
Lawler is a prime example.
Fucking Jim Cornette.
Yeah, they would have lost their. But see, Lawler was able to get it back. You know what I mean? Like by cutting his promo or whatever, and then they turned on him then. But if the lights would have went out, and then Ric Flair would have been there, and then he would have started calling them fat boys and stupid and this, that, and the other thing, they would have ate it fucking up.
Yeah, there would have been signs in the crowd that said, "I'm fat boy.
I'm fat. Call me fat boy."
Dude, if I gotta be honest, if I was at the ECW arena, let's just say, hypothetically speaking, we're at the ECW arena and Ric Flair's there, and I'm upstairs getting dressed like everybody else, and I overhear Paul and Rick talking about that, and then Paul going, "The lights are going to be off," and when they come back on, I just walked over and go, "What the fuck are you doing? Are you fucking kidding me?"
It's gonna go George South on you very quick.
And that wasn't the name that I was thinking, but you were in a ballpark. it's like being fucking like, oh, we got Joe Pedicino. I don't think we had Joe Pedicino. He's not alive anymore. But it's just like when they do the lights gimmick, it doesn't work anymore. Like a guy like Ric Flair, you can't do that, right? I don't know. Am I wrong?
No.
I'm just saying, like, those fans, they were with Shane when he was talking shit about him. But if Flair would have actually showed up, they would have lost their fucking minds.
Fuck yeah, they would have. Did you ever see the didn't Flair work them? Was it the Philadelphia shows? Mm-hmm. He worked a couple of like Philadelphia like independent shows or something in like 91. I have them. I don't know what they were, but he was unannounced for like 3 shows, and the people were just fucking like, I'm like, dude, it's fucking Ric Flair. I mean, I don't know why you're not going so crazy about him.
Well, after the match and after Shane Douglas pile drives Sherry, he cuts a promo on Sherry and Ric Flair, and then we get a Ron Simmons promo discussing their upcoming ECW title match at Holiday Hell on December the 17th. Good promo from Ron, and unlike last week's promo, or the week before, whenever it was, he actually is mentioning Shane Douglas in this promo. So I think he's a little more committed to the promotion at this point, at least for the short term. And again, a good promo from Ron Simmons.
The line of the promo that I wrote down is Simmons says, "It's like the Indians say, the pale face takes a good beating."
Yep. Pretty much. Dude, Ron Simmons is good, man. I mean,
he's underrated and doesn't get talked about enough.
I'll tell you why. It's because he got... No, actually, I can't tell you why. Like he was good in the APA, all right? Mm-hmm. But he learned that shit from his ECW stuff. It's being quick-witted. You ain't gotta say. He realized he didn't have to say a whole lot. Did you ever see any of his Florida promos, like in Florida Championship?
Oh yeah, from like 86, 87.
Yeah, they had worms crawling out of them. They were so rotten. Yeah. They stench. It was brutal. Yeah, but I mean, he learned like his promos still aren't good, but he gets the point. Mm-hmm. I have to get over this, and this.
And you see that develop in him when he's in WCW working for Bill Watts. That's when it really, his spark really gets ignited.
That's Bill Watts right there.
Yeah, I mean, Bill, you can absolutely tell that Bill Watts took him under his wing and really helped him develop himself, because that's when I remember that's when I first, and I when I was younger, I was a fan of Doom as a tag team, but I noticed Ron Simmons once Bill Watts started booking WCW. There was a discernible change in him, and from then on, it was up.
Well, he always had that eye for the consummate athlete. Mm-hmm. And Ron Simmons, let's be honest, seriously, who's got more credentials? Like, you can't get Cal Ripken to start taking bumps, as a better athlete. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Are you going to teach Tom Brady how to hit the ropes? So you got Ron Simmons. I don't know what to call it, Hall of Famer or how they do that, but in college. But yeah,
and that's where I give him, even though I really like both of them, that's where I give him the edge on Dr. Death, because Dr. Death, I don't think ever was a good promo. He was never the full package to me.
Oof. Now you really got me in a bind here, pal.
And now again, and I love Steve Williams. Steve Williams was fantastic, but I think Simmons edges him out because Simmons had the promo, and I don't think Dr. Death did. I
would have thought you would have jumped. You would have started with George Wells first.
Oof.
I would have. I thought you would have started with him before you went right to Dr. Death. God damn. Like, can he at least be better than George Wells? What about Scrap Iron McGursky? Is he better than him?
The name of this episode is going to be Better Than George Wells.
Fucking kidding me.
After the Simmons promo,
George Wells. Like, how many times have you seen him? Like, where was the only place he ever worked at? Like the Montreal, like the Maple Leaf Arena.
Maple Leaf Gardens. George Wells got a WrestleMania shot.
Yeah. And Steve Williams did.
I'm sure King Kong Bundy was involved in that.
No, George Wells actually wrestled Jake Roberts at WrestleMania 2. Well, I guess he didn't wrestle. He just lost to Jake Roberts at WrestleMania 2.
Master G. George Wells.
That's the second time we've mentioned George Wells on this show.
Well, now you know how much of a cult following he has. if we mentioned him twice.
My thing with Ron Simmons promos, if it's okay to say it, is that it wasn't necessarily the best verbiage. It was how he said it. You know what I mean? Like he delivered it. You're like, this guy fucking means what he's. It might not be the most.
It's like we were talking about with Jake earlier. Confidence.
Yeah, it might not be the most eloquent promo, but he's saying it, and he seems like a badass motherfucker when he's saying it. Believe it.
That shit is scary. Like if Ron Simmons was my father, if Ron Simmons was my mentor, if Ron Simmons was my probation officer,
if Ron Simmons was my fucking neighbor, mow your lawn.
Like
yes, I will mow my lawn today.
He says okay a lot in his promos. And I've talked about this on my show. Like he'll cut a promo and he'll say, I'm going to go ahead and whoop your ass, okay? And then you just be like, all right. Okay, sir. It's going to happen.
If you hang on, I'm just going to go tell my wife that I have an ass whooping coming to me tomorrow.
I'll have her get the ice packs and the icy hot ready.
It's like Ric Flair told him. Or he told Ric Flair, Flair said that the Steiners were fucking with Butch Reed in the locker room and just bullying him or whatever. And Ric Flair
was kidding me?
No. And Ric Flair said he looked at Ron Simmons and he was like, Ron, they're over there fucking with Butch. Why don't they fuck with you like that? And he looked at Ric Flair and said, because I'm unfuckable.
Yeah.
Ric Flair was like, I believe you. Okay.
I can't believe Butch Reed took that shit. I mean, who was fucking one of the Freebirds?
The Steiners.
The Steiners. All right, well, I don't know, maybe.
But yeah, Flair was like, are they going to do that to you? Why don't they fuck with you like that? And Ron Simmons was like, Rick, because I'm unfuckable. And Ric Flair's like, I believe you, sir. Like he's Haku level, in my opinion. That is a guy that just you don't fuck with that guy.
Luckily, he's a very good friend. I mean, a very good friend with one of my buddies here in Baltimore. Because I'm very fortunate that we live by Jimmy's Seafood, and we can go over there and see anybody whenever they come into town, all that stuff. And Brian Holhouse, he's the guy. He's the liaison for MCW, and he hosts all the guys. What a phenomenal job he does. And he brings everybody in, and we set everything up at Jimmy's and all, and we get everybody going in there. Next thing I'm hoping for is we can get what's his name? The guy from Dark Order.
I don't know any other names.
I don't know whether he's the Peter Avalon.
No, yeah, you mentioned him earlier.
He's my favorite.
Long John Silver or whatever his name is, little guy.
Oh, not Alex Silver. He's terrible. And then you got the Gimp dude.
Is that Evil Uno?
What's it? Don't be calling Miss Jess that.
After the Ron Simmons promo, we get a promo from Cactus Jack and Mikey Whipwreck, with Cactus, of course, putting over Mikey Mikey. Essentially, the gist of it is Mikey's growing his balls. His balls have dropped.
He was a man of his word.
When Cactus was in trouble, Mikey came out and helped.
Yeah, Mikey said if
Kevin Sullivan's ass.
Yeah, he said if Kevin Sullivan turns on you, I'll kick his ass, and that's what he attempted to do. Mikey's becoming a man.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I liked it. I mean, I just didn't like. I don't know. Maybe it's the time frame of when they recorded it, but I just didn't like the way that Mikey said that. Like, I thought Mikey could have been a little more stern about it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Because I don't know. We're talking about 30 years ago, basically, and Mikey being a little kid. Maybe if Mikey was a little kid, but he just decided he didn't want to be a little kid anymore. Right. I'll deal with it. Then
I like Mick and Mikey together.
But Foley and Whipwreck?
Yeah, I like them together.
Yeah, I don't mind it. I mean, yeah, but I mean, you gotta look at the fucking big picture. It ain't lasting forever.
Yeah, but I just like the fact that Cactus found this little goof, and the storyline of it is like, he found this little guy and he saw something in him that nobody else saw, and he got it out of him. You know what I mean?
And it was supposed to be me. Yeah, don't rub it in.
You could be where Mikey Whipwreck's at right now.
At home?
Yeah.
Not doing a podcast?
Yeah. What's he doing?
Obese. You seen him? He looks like an egg.
He's probably got pigeons and shit.
He looks like an egg. Well,
there you go. I don't look like an egg. I'm actually in pretty good shape. You wouldn't believe the way I look. I'm just like 14 days shy of being 50 years old. And I look great. I took off my shirt the other day and nobody got offended. But I was also at the over 60 swim club meeting.
He was going to say I was also by myself.
Yeah. I was down at the community pool where it was the over 60 and plus aqua thing. Whatever.
Doing the aqua yoga or whatever.
Yeah, whatever they do. And nobody said anything. So I saw a couple of girls look at me, give me the eye.
At that age, they're ladies.
Through their cataracts.
What?
All right, so after this, we get a Public Enemy promo that's a bunch of nonsense. They talk about how they get thrown out of a pizza parlor and they got thrown out of a clothing store or whatever.
And they're at Fool's Paradise, which is apparently a strip club.
I had no idea what that is.
Well, they're just essentially talking about their match coming up with Sabu and Taz. And then Joey Styles introduces Paul E. And I thought that this promo was super effective because Paul E. talks about all the people he's managed, the original Midnight Express, the Dangerous Alliance, etc., etc. And his most impressive tandem in his mind is Taz and Sabu. And what a better way to put those two guys over than for Paul E., who legit has had an amazing managerial career, to be putting these two guys over.
He also did a good job of basically saying that his career has done like a role reversal, that they were usually the guys, like he and his guys were usually the guys that were targeting people and fucking them up. And now managing the guys.
Jesus Christ. He was turning on people and fucking them up.
No, like he's saying like when he managed these people, they were the ones that were gunning for guys. They were the ones that were being the aggressive heels, basically. And now it's like role reversal because now people are targeting him and his people.
Well, that's a great story, right?
And then he has a really good line too. But Nate probably wants to talk more about it than I do. But
no, go ahead, Aaron. That was just, my gist of his promo was just him referencing his history and turning it into a way to put Sabu and Tasmaniac over.
And then he closes it by saying that they're going to beat the Public Enemy so bad that they are going to curse the pimps that impregnated their mothers.
Okay. He's going to curse the pimps that impregnated their mothers?
What he says about the Public Enemy. He basically says that the Public Enemy was birthed through prostitutes.
I'm not surprised. That wouldn't surprise me at all.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me either.
All right, guys. Overall,
what kind of show is this?
We got more mileage out of the ECW show than I thought we would. But what did we think about this? The overall presentation, the one match presentation, and then the promos to end the show. I thought it was a decent episode. Again, like I said from the beginning, I wasn't shitting on the show. I just didn't think we'd have as much to talk about because it was just one match and then some promos. So good on us for getting as much out of it as we did, I guess.
Well, I mean, hasn't ECW always done this, Nate? Like, they've always, like, how many shows have we done where we've always said there's been one match, 7 promos?
You're not analyzing it as, I guess when we do our notes, we aren't analyzing it as good as we do when we all get together and talk about it, because it seems like a lot comes out that you're not thinking about when you're watching it on your own, I guess.
I know. Just think about, like, when you were watching it when it aired, it was the hottest thing on TV, right?
Mm-hmm. Or all of our notes collectively make 2 pages of notes.
Yeah. I wrote Monkey Boy. It's the only thing I wrote on my page. So, yeah, I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think my notes are going to help make 2 pages or a page and a half.
You're at least the header. You wrote the date down. You did your part. But
well,
yeah,
ECW's in a bad spot here, man. Like, because they're getting bigger, right?
Mm-hmm.
Seemingly. Let's just say seemingly they're getting bigger. But where's the money coming from?
Todd Gordon's pawn shop?
It's not. At this point, Todd Gordon is almost done. I mean, what did he pawn shop? What is he, Rick Harris over here? You know, how much money could you lose? He had to have lost hundreds of thousands of dollars. Had to have, right?
Mm-hmm.
Had to have. What kind of pawn shop could sustain that? So to say, like, oh, it's his pawn shop, he had to have other investors, and I'm sure that other investors, H&G, Heyman being one, but I guarantee that not $1 of Heyman's was involved in this.
At least not his own. Maybe his parents.
Yeah, maybe somebody he knew, with the last name Hyman. Something or other. But yeah, I mean, we're this is getting to the point where we are losing money hand over fist, man, at this point.
Well, that is it for this week's edition of Reliving the Extreme. Aaron, any parting words for our listeners this week?
Yep, just thanks for listening, and our numbers are steady and growing, so I appreciate that. And if you are listening to it and you have other old school wrestling fans that might not be listening, tell them about it so we can keep growing the show.
Yeah, but you're talking to the people that are already listening to us.
I'm honest to God, I'm saying I don't know. I think that if somebody isn't listening to this show, they're missing out, because I think we do a great goddamn product every week. It's entertaining.
Yeah. It's their fault, and you can always go on Facebook and you can make a rant and go, you're a fool.
Come listen to our show, you fucking fools.
Yeah, what's the matter with you, you fucking rube?
Dumbass bone.
Yeah, I mean, why aren't you? I don't get it. I'm funny. Aaron's funny. Nate's on the show.
Nate's here.
I mean, we have a whole entire thing going on here. And,
we're like the Marx Brothers.
Well,
man, I'm fucking Zeppo. God damn it.
You're Zeppo Marx.
Shit.
That's not my.
Hey, you know what? Fuck that. That's a talent to play the straight man, and he's usually the funniest guy when the camera's off.
Nate Zeppo. I'll be Checo, and Chad can be Groucho.
Oh yeah.
And Archie's fucking Harpo. Archie's Harpo because we never let him come on and talk.
No, Archie's. There's no other character other than just Archie. He's his own. He's his own character. Like
he's Fatty Arbuckle.
He is Fatty Arbuckle. That is the best thing I've ever heard. That is the God's honest truth. That guy is Fatty Arbuckle, and yeah, what he's gonna come on here and he's gonna try to deface me and try to tell me he beat me for my title. He didn't win anything. He came in first place.
And that that reminds me. Go listen to the latest edition of the We Can't Wrestle podcast as well to hear Chad join us for trivia. That was a fun night. I had a blast.
He came in the other first place.
So for Chad Austin, for Aaron Maxon, and for Fatty Archbuckle, I am Nate Maxon saying everybody will see you next week. Thank you for joining us on Reliving the Extreme.
Talio.